Bundesliga predictions, round 26.
Welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It's time for us to do our first ever Bundesliga predictions. Before you say, do we know anything about it? Please watch it and then tell us. But yes, we do. Additionally, we are going to timestamp every match, put it below. Please like, subscribe, follow Grandstand Betters. They sponsor us. They're absolutely fantastic. And we are running a competition for the end of the season for the Bundesliga. If you can correctly predict 1st to 18th in the Bundesliga and you live in the UK, comment below, give us the list of teams, and if you're correct, at the end of the season, we'll be sending you a Very Biased Opinions and a Grandstand Better special t-shirt for me, Ian, and Matt. And oh god.
It's not this t-shirt, is it?
No, it's not that t-shirt.
Okay, I'll stop it.
Before we get further off topic, Ian, lead me into the first game.
Borussia Dortmund versus FC Schalke, 0-4.
Right, well, here we have it, Ian. It's the Revier Derby, two big teams in Germany. Borussia Dortmund currently in second, 4 points behind Bayern Munich. They are on sensational form. Their team is an A to Z of great young players. Sancho, 14 goals, 15 assists. That's really the player to watch on this team. Marco Reus has got 11 goals, 5 assists. Eric Haaland has come in and scored 9 goals in 8 games in the Bundesliga alone, which is an absolute joke. And then Eden Hazard's little brother, Thorgan Hazard's there with 10 goals and 5 assists. I mean, like, it blows your mind how good a young team this is. They're still 4 points behind the behemoth that is Bayern Munich. And they're coming up against a side who not only are on incredibly poor form, having only picked up 3 points in their last 5 matches, obviously before the big break, but they are worryingly sliding down the table. Their top scorers, Suat Serdar, with 7 goals. The player to watch for them really is Amin Harit. He's got 6 goals and 4 assists, which really isn't that great when you think about it, especially for a top 10 side. He's also recently been fined for attending a Corona party at a shisha bar, so you got to be a little bit worried.
Good for him.
I know how much you love players going out and getting lit.
I just
but
think
really,
that they're humans.
They are.
And they're not robots.
And I refuse to accept that. Schalke's poor form, I don't think that they really stand a chance against this Dortmund side. This Dortmund side's probably got the 2nd or 3rd best form in the league. As much as the 0-0 draw they played out earlier in the season, people might think that's indicative. You've got to back Dortmund. They brought Haaland in at Christmas as well. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Dortmund in this.
Yeah, I'm going to back Dortmund as well in this one. Just a couple of things to mention. These are games obviously being played behind closed doors, and so you just don't know how that's going to affect players. You don't know how it's going to affect teams. Dortmund traditionally have a wonderful home support that is arguably one of the best in world football. So you don't know what that's going to be like until they get used to sort of playing in that empty shell of a stadium. So that might give Schalke a little bit of hope in this one. But, you know, when you go and get David Wagner, prize him from Huddersfield, you kind of, well, I don't know where I'm going with that one. But David Wagner's their manager. But one of the things just before we don't really want to talk for hours about every single game. But one thing that was surprised me was just Schalke's financial situation doesn't seem that great, which for a top-flight Bundesliga side is quite worrying.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to try and maybe get rid of that 50+1 deal and maybe get some rich sugar daddies in. Like the Premier League. Give in to greed, Germany. But long story short, you can't put that 0-0 anyway into the equation because Dortmund were much worse at the start than they are now, especially with Haaland. 3-1 Dortmund for me.
FC Augsburg play VfL Wolfsburg.
Wolfsburg. I haven't checked them for a while. I assume they're still managed by Steve McLaren.
Yes, that is correct.
Correct? Good.
Correct.
England's. I always thought he was an underrated England manager, but maybe that's just my biased opinion coming out then. So you've got two sides with huge conflicting form guides. Augsburg have been in terrible form. They're not far above the drop zone. In fact, if I was to compare it to an English side, I would say they're a little bit like West Ham United. And West Ham fans, you'll be happy to know Reece Oxford, if you remember him, is on loan at Augsburg. But I don't think he's getting much of a look in that side. So not really the most greatest move he's ever done in his career, I wouldn't have said, from promising Premier League player to Bundesliga afterthought. But, they are capable of beating the good sides. They have beaten top sides this season, but conceding goals is where they always seem to fall down. Scored 36, conceded 52. It doesn't make for pretty readings. It's not really surprising to see where they are in the league when you see those stats. Huge turnover of players in the summer, which probably doesn't help them. And it's difficult to look at the form guide in this one and just think Wolfsburg are going to win. I think Wolfsburg will probably win this one. 2-0 Wolfsburg.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue with what you've just said there. Oliver Glasner is his first year of the job at Wolfsburg. He's done pretty well. Bruno Labbadia stepped down at the beginning of the season. They're only actually 1 point, Wolfsburg, away from 6th, but then they're 19th away from 4th place, so they're probably not getting into Europe this season. They're not bad at scoring or conceding. They've scored 34, conceded 30. They've got a really handy goalkeeper who's Belgian, Koen Casteels in there. And then their team is really powered by Wout Weghorst and Maximilian Arnold. Arnold being quite the creative player for them, and Weghorst just scoring and getting the odd assist. You've got to fancy them. They're in 7th. They've been on really good form leading into this. Obviously, we're going to continually give the caveat. You're in a stadium with no fans, no football's been played. God knows what's going to happen in the next week leading up to this. It's hard to look past Wolfsburg. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to them.
Fortuna Dussledorf versus FC Panderborn 0-7.
Right, Ian, this is a great match. This is a match that really could help propel Panderborn back into the conversation of staying in the league. They have had a rough introduction this year. Shirley Mamba, though, is a player to watch. He scored 5 goals for them. Kai Proger has been an unsung hero. He goes up the wing. He's got 6 assists. They love to flow forward, but unfortunately that leaves them quite open at the back. Their back-to-back promotions have actually gotten them here. They were in the 3rd division 2 years ago, and now they're in the Bundesliga. So this is huge. They've got a couple players with English connections as well. Dennis Srebny's come in from Norwich. Anthony Evans from Everton. I think he's in England under 19. Panderborn's recent form as well isn't that bad. They recently lost to Bayern Munich, but only just. I think it was 3-2 to a late goal. Outside of that, they haven't lost. Dusseldorf, on the other hand, have been atrocious with 1 point picked up out of the last 5 matches. The last time these two teams played, it was 2-0 to Panderborn. And I don't know why, but I fancy this to be 3-2 to Panderborn.
I looked at this one and thought Panderborn might get a win. I might have to change it. Whereas where you see a high-scoring, entertaining game, I see this being a very nervy game that both sides don't want to lose. Dusseldorf, very much a yo-yo side in German football. It's going to be up and down like a horse draws. 20. What can former West Bromwich Albion, City, Leeds, Molde, Brentford, Wigan, Malmo and Fleetwood Town boss, East Germany's greatest export, Uwe Rosler, do to turn the tide? I actually always liked Uwe Rosler as a manager. I remember he did some... I had hoped that he might get a side into the Premier League. It just never really materialised for him. But I've always thought he's a good boss. But as I said, their form is horrible. They've got a guy who scored 11 goals for them, Hennings, but he hasn't seemed to have hit the back of the net in ages. So they'll be hoping that he comes back refreshed after this break. They got some Yankee Doodle goalie, Casey Keller, I think. No, not really. Jack Steffen, he's been out, but he's been out of a long-term injury. They just don't seem a side that's going to be capable of addressing the slide, and I'm going to back Panderborn as well, but I'm not going to go as many goals. I'm going to go 1-0.
No. Ugh, Ian, live a little.
You're too gung-ho, and that's why you always beat me at predictions. And now it's time for Grandstand Better's featured match of the week. It's 1899 Hoffenheim versus Hertha Berlin.
That's right. Grandstand Betters, they're back up and running, football's running, and this is their match they're featuring. This is the free bet they're putting out to everybody. They're telling you to go out and bet over 2.5 goals on Hoffenheim versus Hertha Berlin, something I suspect neither Ian or I shall do, but we really should do because the money you'll win is amazing. They're a really good tipster website. They've been sponsoring us for ages. Have a look at them and go put the bet on if that's what you'd like to do.
Well, exciting is the word I would use, Tom, for 2 middle-of-the-pack Bundesliga sides. Hoffenheim, well, they've got probably more famous for the stuff that's gone on off the pitch, certainly before the outbreak of the pandemic. They'll probably be glad that sort of came about in a way, just to kind of the heat gone off them a little bit. I don't know if you remember it, the game they had against Bayern Munich was stopped, and they actually, because of an offensive banner, mainly against their owner, Dietmar Hopp, who Germany are really, for those of you that don't know, Germany are really strict with like the ownership of clubs, and it's like a 50+1 rule where they don't want it to be a case where the Premier League, where you can have huge billionaire owners coming in and changing the structure of the league, and they feel that's being done by Dietmar Hopp here, and German football they think has been too lax in stopping it. So that's why there was a huge protest. It led to like then just the final 13 minutes then just passing the ball around to each other. So it became a bit farcical. But on the field, sorry to drag on about that, huge loss when they lost Joel Linton to Newcastle. How are they going to replace those goals? But Andrej Karabic has done probably better than Joel Linton would have done this season with 7 goals and 2 assists. They've had some big scalps. They've beaten Dortmund this season and they've beaten Leverkusen as well. They did lose the hottest property in football, which is Nagelsmann to Leipzig. And they got their old assistant coach, Alfred Schroeder, back from Ajax to help steer them. And they're absolutely steady. They got a good goalkeeper, keeps them in a lot of games. Stefan Ruddy, the glue that holds it all together. 1-1 draw for me.
Ian, interesting that you've gone with a 1-1 draw, because before I get into what I'm going to say, it's a 2-2 draw for me. Really interesting stuff coming out of Hertha Berlin. Quite literally yesterday, they sacked Jurgen Klinsmann from the board. If you remember earlier in the season, he was also the manager and left because apparently he didn't have enough control. He quit in February. He's now been kicked off the board and he's been replaced by Jens Lehmann. If that's not a name from the past, I don't know what is.
Wow. Invincible Jens Lehmann.
Invincible, indeed, somehow. Ugh. Now I know exactly what the cover picture is going to show. They really struggled for 4 games after Klinsmann left under Alexander Nori. They now have Bruno Labbadia as manager, but he's actually yet to be able to manage a match due to the stoppage. And not only that, Klinsmann didn't even start as the manager. Kovic started the season as a manager. So they've gone through quite literally 4 managers this season. They just got a Brazilian striker Matheus Cunha in from Leipzig. His first 2 matches, he scored goals, but now obviously the league is over. Vladimir Darida has come out of absolutely nowhere. He's gone from a number 6 to a number 10, chipping with 3 goals and 3 assists. They do concede more than they score. They are really up and down. They've got a young Belgian striker up front who got brought in after scoring 14 goals for Fortuna Dussledorf last year. He's already got 5 this season. This is a young team that's been described by a lot of people as a team that could really surprise and do something. And they beat them. They lost in the corresponding fixture in October 3-2. Hoffenheim were at home. And I know this won't make a difference, but I'm actually going to go for a 2-2 draw here, like I said. I rate this Berlin team. I think they've got a chance. But really, I mean, is this league's Newcastle? It could well be.
Hertha Berlin remind me of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Good look, attractive side, play good football, but like, I don't know, are they mentally strong enough?
They're a mid-table side, Ian.
Well,
much like Arsenal.
Should they be a mid-table side though? Shouldn't they be a bit better than that?
No, that was my joke was more about Arsenal when I said that than about them.
I gathered that, Tom. I did know that. I know you have a love affair with Arsenal. Maybe Hertha Berlin could be that dumpster fire you covered. Everyone's favourite club, RB Leipzig versus FC Freiburg.
Right, Ian, it's time to talk about the second of the big 3 in this league. That's right, it's Dortmund, Leipzig, and Bayern. We've gone through Dortmund. Now it's really time to harp on Leipzig. Leipzig are in 3rd in the league. They're hot on the tail of 1st and 2nd. It is ridiculously tight in this league. This reminds me of League 1, League 2 right now, Championship.
It's been a really good Bundesliga, and for a while it was a 4-horse race, except like Mönchengladbach have just dropped back a little bit, but it's been very competitive.
Obviously, as you said previously, Nagelsmann is the hottest property in coaching. He's replaced their old manager at Leipzig. Is he the next Klopp? That's what they say. Timo Werner is driving this side forward. 21 goals and 7 assists. Will he, won't he to Liverpool? If Leipzig have anything to say with it, he bloody won't. absolute scintillating form this season. They score with free will. They beat Mainz earlier in the season 8-0, which is just, that's insulting to Mainz, really. Nkunku has come over from PSG, and he's been really amazing in the lineup. And a lineup of really good players, really attacking players. He's managed 4 goals and 12 assists. They score almost 3 times as much as they concede, and they are going to want blood after losing to Freiburg previously, 2-1 in October. I have them running out 2-0 winners here.
Yeah, I can see you're going conservative because not many sides give Freiburg much of a hammer in. That's probably what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't forget also Leipzig. I mean, they pretty much disposed of Tottenham with ease in the Champions League, and could have arguably won the tie by more. Yeah, so I mean, so in this one it's hard to look past Leipzig. I think they'll win. It's not been many different scores between the two of us, but I failed to see anything other than a 2-0 win as well. I always consider Freiburg a good side, but they just remind me of like a palace. They like set out to not lose. Is Roy Hodgson managing Freiburg? No. Christian Streich is the manager. And they probably play on the fact that they're in one of the smaller clubs, one of the smaller stadiums, and probably one of those things that all the other sides probably hate going there because it's such a very like intimidating atmosphere. They're not used to getting. They're probably used to like $1 million treatment that they made. Maybe don't. I'm speculating. Maybe they don't get that Freiburg. But they're very, very, very hard to beat. A lot of that is down to very strong defensively. Robin Koch, he's one of the hottest properties in football at the moment. A beast of a centre back, linked with Italian clubs like Italy and Napoli, and also Leeds. I'd like to see him at Leeds. If Leeds went to the Premier League, you can see that happening. If Leeds went up to the Premier League, it'd be, it's an attractive proposition, I think, for sides, people to come and play for Leeds United. He knows he's going to be a starter, play pretty much every game. They always punch above their weight in the league. They scored 34, conceded 35, so just harps on about what we said about them being tough to beat. Niels Petersen is not only the leading goal scorer this season, he's also like the hero of the club. He's like the leading ever record goal scorer. And they won't win this game, but they won't go down easy. And as I said, it'll be 2-0 Leipzig.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real case of like a massive overperformer coming up against, Leipzig are almost the Dortmund, like the Dortmund were 5 or 6 years ago, where they're a really good young attacking side. And you almost feel bad for Freiburg here, being the first game they come back against is a bunch of overly talented 20 to 25-year-olds who are just going to be so excited to be back playing football. Eintracht Frankfurt versus Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Mönchengladbach have been a somewhat surprise package this season. We talked about them just a minute ago. Until sort of like the last few rounds of games, they were right up there challenging, pushing Dortmund all the way. I think they were even like level on points with with Leipzig, but they just seem to have just gone off the pace a little bit. But that's still not to say they haven't had a great season, because they have. Mönchengladbach won the first game between these sides 4-2. Marco Rose doing a great job, really. He came in from the Swiss league, and he's really improved them. You're going to look at them; they're in pretty decent form. They've only lost 1 out of the last 5. Going to be a win, isn't it, for Mönchengladbach? I think. I mean,
Jan Sommer being in goal. I mean, I think statistically he's been the most successful. I think 76% of shots on goal, or shots in general, he's stopped. 97 stops in the league. Like, this Mönchengladbach team are just they're unreal. They're almost 50 goals scored, I think. They're only 6 points out of first place, and if they weren't coming up against sides like Dortmund and Bayern, who have won every game or drawn one in that spell, basically, they'd be right up there with them. And Leipzig as well. I mean, that's why I say there's a big 3 in this league. There's Leipzig, Dortmund, and Bayern, and then Mönchengladbach really are kind of the best of the rest right now.
This shows you, in this league, I mean, above all else, at this stage of the season, you have to be pretty much perfect to beat Bayern.
Yeah, they always do this. Every year Bayern do this.
Yeah, they just get on a roll and they're unstoppable.
Speaking of Bayern, the reason Bayern sacked their manager Niko Kovac at the beginning of the season was because of Frankfurt, who put 5 goals past them in an incredibly disjointed performance for Bayern. And Frankfurt have really underachieved this season, you'd have to say. Adi Hütter is in his second year as manager, so obviously he was there last year when I think it was it the semi-finals of the Europa League they were in?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. I think they either lost to Arsenal or Chelsea. I obviously, because they got to the final, but I can't remember. I think it was Chelsea they lost to.
But, they're kind of Spursing it right now. They're going to have a really hard time trying to qualify for Europe, which was their goal. They've qualified the last 2 years. But they had a really hard start to the season. They lost Haller, Rebic, and Jovic, who made up for 41 goals for them, which is incidentally more than they've scored in the league this season thus far. Player to watch in this team is really Filip Kozic. He's got 12 goals and 15 assists. One quick player I want to harp on before I give my scoreline and we move on is Daichi Kamada. He's 23. He's just been called up to the Japanese national team. He's yet to score in the league, but he scored 6 times in Europe and twice in the Cup, and he has 3 assists in the league. He also had the match-winning double against Arsenal earlier in the season, and the manager's even been coming out and being like, we just did not expect to see this. I don't see Frankfurt beating this Mönchengladbach team, but you get the feeling that in the next couple of rounds of games, they've got a real chance to move up the table a bit. I'm gonna go 2-1 to Mönchengladbach right now, but it feels like it could be a really tough game, and I think Jan Sommer is going to have a really big role to play in an empty stadium where players are going to probably feel more confident taking shots from distance and testing him.
Have you just picked an over? Who is this guy you're going on about? It's
Who?
Japanese, Daichi Kamada. Who's he actually scored against other than Arsenal reserves? Blind school amateurs in the Cup and Belarus 5th place sides in the Europa League.
Look, I'm just saying, look out for him. He's a good player.
Wow, look out for him. He's on fire.
I want a new partner. What was your score, Ian?
I think I said... I went with form, didn't I? I think I said 3-1 Mönchengladbach. I don't think I actually said it on camera.
No, I don't think you did either. I just realized.
1.FC Cologne versus 1.FSV Mainz 05. It rolls off the tongue.
So this is a big game. Back in October when they played this, Mainz actually beat Cologne 3-1, which kind of belays their league position right now, which is 15th. Mainz have shipped goals like it's fun. They've conceded 53, but they've also scored 34. The German league seems chock-a-block full of teams that can score a lot and concede a lot. It's their done thing. Mainz currently are 4 points above relegation, and I remember when I was younger, Mainz obviously is Lukas Podolski's old team, and they were getting relegated. They were never that good, and that's why Podolski ended up going to Bayern, leaving his boyhood club that he loves. They're now led up front by Robin Quaison. He's got 12 goals. It's actually the 4th highest goal total in the league. Keep in mind he plays for the 15th team. Only Sancho, Lewandowski, and Werner are ahead of him in goals scored. He's actually scored over a third of the team's goals in the league, but this also doubles his career scoring totals, so we could be seeing a player kind of coming into his own. They actually lost 11 players over the summer as well, which is tough. They've had to bring in 9 more. They actually brought in Edmilson Fernandez from West Ham. There's a lot of West Ham connections to the German league. Their former player, Sandro Schwartz, is now managing them. They have been up and down, but it looks like they might just about survive relegation, coming up against a decent Cologne side. I'm going to be honest here. I'm going with a 0-0 draw. I'm doing it. I'm going rogue.
Wow, I think this might be one we're differing on a little bit, but both these sides actually, they've been in pretty decent form, and Mainz kind of needed it from, just sort of put to bed any relegation fears they may have had. But they are coming up against the Newcastle United of the Bundesliga, Thomas, a club that is a massive club. Oh, they're huge, they're amazing. But they never really win anything. They always finish middle of the pack, and they've even recently got relegated and returned to the Bundesliga this season. Unlike Newcastle, and fortunately for them as well, they don't have Steve Bruce managing them. They've got Achim Bielsa, who was given the managerial job after winning the league last season. Cordoba is their main goal scorer with 10 goals, but also watch out for Ishmael Jacobs. He's a 20-year-old winger, but he is one to watch, exciting young player. And I'm going to back Cologne in this one, Thomas. I think they're going to beat Mainz. I think they'll win 2-1.
It's number 1 FC Union Berlin, hosting Bayern Munich.
So I'm going to leave Tom to wax lyrical about Bayern Munich. He's going to probably talk about how they remind him of Ferguson under Man United. Now I'm going to talk about a true side to be proud of, and that is Union Berlin. They're like a fairy tale of a club, much like what Chris Wilder's done with Sheffield United, but probably not quite as good. They were probably expected to go down this season, and they've defied all the experts by being a mid-table side. They've been really, really fun to watch. Their fans are amazing. And I know you hear that a lot about football fans, but I know German fans are well known for being great supporters of their club. But these fans go above and beyond. There's stories in the past of where they built the stadium for the club. They were cash strapped, so they donated blood. And in Germany, you get money for donating blood in order to help give the club money. They're absolutely nuts, the level these fans go to. The big rivalry game, the big game for them this season was obviously how they got on against Hertha Berlin with East Germany against West Germany. I think they beat them in the big derby. So everything else for them this season is just a bit of gravy. But coming up against Bayern Munich, oh God, Bayern are just imperious when they get to this point of the season, aren't they? And they just don't stop. They rack up goals for fun, and they are like a machine. And unfortunately for Berlin, as much as I have enjoyed watching you this season, I think Bayern will win 3-0.
Bayern are an absolute joke of a football club. Every year they win this. They are going for their 8th straight title right now. They're 4 points clear. They've scored 73 goals this year. It's unreal. This summer alone. Hasn't even
coming this summer.
In 8 matches, 73 goals scored. Lewandowski top scoring this year, 25 goals in the league. It's unreal. He started the season with 9 straight appearances with a goal, which has set the record in the league. He's now moved 3rd all-time scoring in the league with 227 goals. He's got 39 goals in all competitions. He's currently chasing down Gerd Muller's record of 40 goals in a season. And if Bayern can win the league at a canter like they hope, he could actually get there. Hansi Flick's taken over as the manager after Niko Kovac was sacked after losing to Frankfurt. Brought in a bunch of players over the summer, like Lucas Hernandez, who's now injured, Benjamin Pavard, who came in, Coutinho, Perisic, the longtime Man United player, and Ribéry and Robben are gone, which I think, truthfully, for our generation, that's huge. I remember Ribéry and Robben. They've been around for almost my entire life, at least. I mean,
I know.
They become synonymous with this club. Bayern have been imperious. Thomas Mueller's having a rebirth this season. He's got 16 assists, and he looks young again. And the player I just want to highlight right now is Alphonso Davies. He plays left back. He's Canadian, and he's a left winger, but he's been switched to left back, and he's been absolutely phenomenal for this Bayern side. That being said, the one reason I don't see Bayern running out as huge winners here is Rafael Gikiewicz, or whatever his name is. Their goalkeeper for Berlin, 94 saves this season. He's had 6 clean sheets. Every time they kept a clean sheet, they've won a game. He's a real rock at the back. Obviously, they've got Sebastian Anderson up front scoring the goals for him. This is actually a really good club. You talk about Sheffield United. It's a Sheffield United. It's a Burnley. They're really fun to watch. They work really hard. Bayern won the corresponding fixture 2-1 earlier in the season, and I see that happening again here. I think Union they're just set up well. They'll soak up as much of the pressure, but there's only so much you can keep Bayern out.
This is one that would have been interesting if fans were allowed in, though. I think they could have made a big difference to this one.
Huge.
It would have been a bit like when Man United used to go to like Upton Park or something. You know, that's like the one the fans are all going to want to see. Yeah. Lewandowski, obviously take Messi and Ronaldo out of every conversation. Is he the best player not to have played in the Premier League?
Certainly the most successful player, probably. Zlatan's played now, hasn't he? Messi, yeah. I mean, he's been unreal in Germany. He's been unreal internationally. He's done it all.
And
he's great.
Let's not forget, German football is strong this season. Look at how Dortmund went out surprisingly to PSG, but look at the way Bayern Munich dispatched with Chelsea, and that is a sign that they could very much win all the competitions this season, like they've done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a Bayern side that they've gone young. They've signed younger players. They're letting younger players come through. It's worrying for the future of everyone else that this Bayern side have come through a period of losing their big players and are still getting contributions from the big old ones and producing young ones all the time.
Yeah. And finally, it's not a main event because Oxford United and Man United are not involved in it, but it is our final match. It is Werder Bremen versus Bayer 04 Leverkusen, or if you followed our Champions League, the 4th incarnation of Leverkusen.
Right, well, I'm going to talk to you about Leverkusen. This is a team I've really enjoyed this season. They're currently in 5th place. They're on actually the 2nd best form in the league. They've won 4 of their last 5 and drawn the other one. And they play, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but Bose Bowl. Peter Bose is their manager. When he took over in December 2018, they went on to score 43 goals in 17 matches, and he guided them up to 4th place. Currently, they're just below that, and they are
like Sarri Ball.
Yes, a bit like Sarri Ball, only effective and does not rely on Jorginho hitting the same pass in every match. They scored 45 and conceded 30. They are really good at the back, really strong going forward. They lost Julian Brandt over the summer to Dortmund, but they brought in Moussa Diaby from PSG, amongst others. Diaby has been nothing short of excellent this season, 5 goals and 6 assists. He's been an excellent addition to Bose's team. 20-year-old standing captain as well. So Kevin Vollard is currently top scorer with 9 goals, but he underwent season-ending surgery in February on his ankle, and Kai Havertz has stepped up. 6 goals and 5 assists in 2020 makes him the best performing actual German in the league. He's the youngest player in the Bundesliga to ever reach 30 goals. I think you mentioned it to me earlier. They're like Leicester. This is the Leicester of the league. It's been years since they were top side. I think the joke in Germany used to be that they were actually number 2 Leverkusen because they came second to Bayern and second to Real Madrid in the Champions League. And they are really putting a lot of those wrongs to right. They're turning themselves back into a powerful team. And Bremen probably won't be in the league next year, have had a terrible run of it. And I see Leverkusen running out 3-0 champions despite the 2-2 draw at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, the Leverkusen is just fun to watch, aren't they? They really are. Like Leicester, how it's just almost like a breath of fresh air sometimes watching them play.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Leverkusen. And if Leverkusen are like Leicester, I'm going to relate Bremen to like a Villa. Should they be as low as they are? Probably not. Massively underachieving, horrible form, 55 goals conceded. As you say, 4 losses and a draw out of the last 5 games, going up against Leverkusen's 4 wins and a draw. Leaves them in a really precarious position and really floundering. Not really much to really write home about in their side, other than they'll just be hoping that the breaks refreshed everybody and they come back and they can get probably only the 2 or 3 wins they need to maybe keep them safe. Look, let's talk about a player who's good to watch. We talked about when we did Gold Cup, Josh Sargent, who didn't get picked in the American side, but he's a promising young player. Not too many American outfield players that are playing in European football, so he's one to watch out for. But in this one, it's going to be Leverkusen, isn't it? They're going to win it. I'll go bigger than you. 4-0.
4-0. Thank you for tuning in and watching our first iteration of the Bundesliga predictions. Obviously, it's match day 26. We followed the league loosely. We're trying to get back, more into it. We're really excited for real football. Please, chance, go to Grandstand Betters. If you get a chance, like, subscribe. We really appreciate everything we're doing. We really hope you're all doing well, staying safe, etc. Hopefully, this awful pandemic lessens and we all get out of the house soon. But until then, me and Ian are going to be predicting every football match we can. These Bundesliga predictions are feeding into our normal Premier League predictions, of which I currently lead 16-14. That's right, Ian, I'm padding my lead here. So get ready to lose. Additionally, if you're in the UK and you fancy winning a t-shirt from us, please predict 1st to 18th, in the Bundesliga. Put it below. The first person who gets it correct at the end of the season will win a t-shirt in association with us in Grandstand Betters. And
Show us that t-shirt.
No. That being said, Ian, do you have anything to add at the end?
No, not much else to add from me. Obviously, just reiterate the thanks to everybody that supports our channel and like the video and subscribe. I guess that leaves me to just sum it all up by saying if you're looking for detailed football analysis, probably in the wrong place.